What time is your aunt coming over?
3.
That's during Javi's nap time.
Yeah, I don't want her to meet him.
Wow, seems like you're in a really good place about this.
You asking me to come over means the world to me.
The only reason I reached out to you is because my dad has this box of stuff. This isn't about reconciling. This is about closet space.
Do you know where your dad is?
He's not here.
I just talked to him about an hour ago.
Oh, no.
What?
I think he took my car.
A Million Little Things, the farewell season, new Wednesday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Oh man, it felt good to be back in the AMLT saddle as we just got through with the first of 2 installments. We're gonna watch the catch up on, get back in the game of the TV schedule, like for real this time. We just got through with the Jimmy Spencer installment, and while it's fresh on our mind, I want to go over it before we get into the Dale Jr. installment, because we got the Kenny Wallace through Jeff Gordon installment of Bunked tomorrow, and of course, well, we're going to save that shout out that I was going to give for tomorrow's video, but anyway, also, just to warn you guys, like Ward Burton, because of how late it is, there will be no Ricky Martin performance tonight. And considering how late it is and how I do not want to use myself up and wake up sleeping family members, but I will be nice enough to play a surprise Ricky tune to close out the video. So I might be nice enough to do. I'm going to be nice enough to do this to make up for it. So whenever I can't do a Ricky performance for you guys, then I'll just play a random tune of his as we wrap up each reaction video where I don't do a performance. So after the Dale Jr. installment in a little bit, we're going to have the Bill Elliott, Johnny Benson, Brett Bodine, Ryan Newman, and then guess what? Ty Dillon, and then goodbye, guys. Not goodbye, it's till we meet again. So, but we don't have to worry about that. And for, let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 5 more weeks. We don't have to worry about that for the next 5 weeks. When we get to that 5th week, then we can start saying our till we meet again. So anyway, let's just go over this episode, the Jimmy Spencer installment, episode 7. So Rome's dad, gets dementia, huh? So, but thing is, he was, having some kind of it was it's like he was a android in a show like La Vida Labrats, malfunctioning and, saying all these random things and not knowing where he was at or what was going on. And, taking, Regina's car and, Rome, kissing him on the lips like he's Ricky Bobby. Yep, it was shades of Ricky. That's part of why I got rid of Razel, and part of why, I did kiss Margaret. I do remember that, but she should not be named before that was never all that kissy, no. But Helena before that, we kissed like crazy, like holy shit. She was a kisser, and she was a hugger too. She showed lots of affection right back to me the same way Margaret showed it too, but just minor. She showed lots of hugs and affection and said I love yous and little minor kisses. The only kiss that me and Gita shall not be name shared was Christmas Day 2019. That was it. And then after that, that was before Margaret. And then after Margaret, I met Razel, and she did what I did. Part of why I get rid of her because she never showed affection to hug or kiss me back. I did all that, but she barely did any of that except for the day we met at that Halloween party at her ViaQuest facility. So the next girlfriend I hope she is a hugger and I hope she's a kisser, both on the cheek and on the lips. And if the next girlfriend I find that we become a thing and I post it, I'm gonna share it with all of you that we share for the first time in a long time I've been in a relationship. Me and the girl shared a kiss, which is shades of Ricky Bobby. So that's exactly what Rome did to his dad. And then Rome explained to Walter about the whole water fountain history and all the other stuff. And they worked out their whole, Rome going back to that school to teach, and Walter did him, and he was wrong about what he said about not going back to the school. But, Rome was taking his advice, saying he wanted to go back and teach a school where he had that bad experience as a kid. He wanted to go back there as a kid when he was a student. He wanted to go back there as an adult teacher to make the school what Walter thought it could become, considering it was really negative when Walt's whole Rome went there as a kid student. Well, Rome as an adult teacher wanted to make it right. And, we saw at the end of last season when we were wrapping up season 2 of season 1 of Spring is in the Air, ready to jump into season 2 of Fun in the Sun, if you guys remember that. But yeah, and then Regina did a hell of a job with the food truck with that female politician. I already forgot her name, but I don't feel like stopping the film to check. But she was really, really nice. I think her name was Dottie or something. I think it was Dottie. Yeah, Dottie was her name. Dottie. Yeah, Dottie. She seemed really, really nice. And sucks that we didn't get to see Sophie but she's not in the next one either. Just spoiler alert. Yeah, you're welcome. So we don't have much character stills to put up there. I put up on my Instagram with or without the tagging glitch. But let me see. What was I talking about? Oh my god. Oh yeah, Matt. Fuck. I have to stop the film anyway. I lost my fucking train of thought. Okay, we were still talking about Regina's part of the story, so therefore they made it on TV, and I thought something had happened when the TV broadcast came up and Lottie and Regina are on the phone, but luckily nothing happened. It was just Lottie on the phone saying in her own context, to thank Regina for all the success and that they found that day. And then we got to see now grown-up Charlie. I mean, Halston Owen is so adorable. Like, she's a doll. And we got to see, Julian all grown up, except that his actor sadly doesn't have Instagram. Well, last night and Saturdays, neither did Sophie Ackerman, who played Iris, Nick, who was named after the Dale Earnhardt song that was in the season 2 into finale of this said show with the guitar smashing. We're show jumping again. Sophie Ackerman, who played Iris on Saturdays last night, sadly doesn't have Instagram, or even TikTok, even though I wish she did. And not only that, Ken Martin, who was in last night's show, I can't remember the name of the character he played. He has Instagram, but sadly no TikTok. So one has Instagram, but not TikTok. That's Ken Martin. One has, the other has neither. The other has neither. No has TikTok or Instagram for Sophie Ackerman. Although I wish both of them had both, so we can tag them and all this stuff. But hey, you can't always get what you want, like they always say. But yeah. So like Halston Owen is so adorable, and I'm glad we get to see Charlie all kind of a little, not all grown up, but she kind of grew up into a toddler. Now she went from being an infant newborn to a 4-year-old child, and the fact that the school had lice, and the daycare had lice, and the teacher sent them home, and Theo thought he was getting lice, but he must have shook it off or something, or must have died out by itself, because by the time they got to Nicole's house to pick up the doll Charlie left over there, he wasn't itching anymore. And I thought they were going to bring up how they met. I thought Eddie and Nicole were going to bring up the how those two met through Eddie, getting hit by the car. And Theo was talking shit about Nicole, about how, remember how in the beginning when they were doing that, there was a lot of season 2 flashbacks, both on the big full TV screen and on Eddie's phone. So when Eddie saw Nicole's car, we saw the flashback of the season 2 finale cliffhanger when Eddie got hit by Nicole. But he doesn't really dwell on it much anymore. But then it kind of broke my heart for Charlie a little bit, but it was how many seasons ago? It was 3 seasons ago. I think we got to put that shit in the past when it comes to getting upset about that. And plus, even if people were still, talking about it, it's all make-believe, because David Gentuli can't actually walk in real life. They just make him use a wheelchair for his character based on the story, But when they showed the flashback of this, I think it was the season 2 premiere, remember the episode where Eddie, Rome, and Gary were in the parking garage bickering like Brian Vickers about, Rome wanting a baby, then something that, even though that, remember how Gary and Eddie said, I thought you said no kids, and you and Regina got married. What made you change your mind? And their mom said, but I want a baby, but I can't do it if she doesn't want one. You remember all that conversation? And Gary said, Well, I know, Rome. We'll circle back to this, but I'm talking to you, Eddie. Get your ass inside the delivery room. Rome wants a baby. Well, guess what? You have one. So yeah, remember that episode where before Sophie, Danny, and Theo found out about the whole Eddie and Delilah and Catherine drama that had been going on a long time ago? That flashback on Eddie's phone takes us back to all that. And Charlie saw her dad walk and was like, wait a minute, why are you walking in here, but you're in the wheelchair here? Because when Charlie was a baby when her dad got hit by Nicole. And so of course she's not going to remember. And so he explained to her without mentioning Nicole that I was walking across the street and I wasn't being careful and I got hit by a car. That's how I ended up in a wheelchair. I was playing out from the waist down. And then, of course, we get to back to my point. Theo was talking shit about Nicole, but he said it was some idiot who was not paying attention by probably, texting and driving. Well, one, she wasn't texting and driving. If anything, she said in the 2 seasons ago, this following season after that happened, where she had dropped her phone on the floor. Well, maybe she was talking on the phone or probably was trying to hang it up and put it down so she could pay attention, and then just dropped it on the where the pedals are. And when she went to pick it up, considering she couldn't stop, she wasn't paying attention. And that's what she said. And two, then when Theo said that remark, she was talking shit about Eddie, his dad's friend, without realizing he was talking about Nicole. So therefore, I hope Theo doesn't live to regret, doesn't find that out to the later before the show comes to an end, and then turns out to regret what he said. So therefore, because he didn't know who Nicole was. I don't think he had any. He of course he knew about the accident, but he doesn't know who caused it. I don't want Eddie to tell him. That's the thing. I don't want Eddie to tell his son that the girl that he's seeing now caused his dad to be in a wheelchair because she was not paying attention and dropped her foot on where the pedals are, the gas brake and the clutch, and hit him. So otherwise Theo's going to be mad at Nicole, and he's not going to forgive Nicole for that. So I hope it doesn't have to come down to that. Oh my God, what the fuck is this? Oh my God. I don't know where the fuck this came from. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know where the fuck that fuzz came from. Like, holy shit. But, yeah, so therefore, they had some dino nuggets. I mean, was it dino nuggets or was it spaceship nuggets? I think either one. I know Theo and Charlie tore that shit up like Terry Labonte. And, Nicole has been the greatest friend to Eddie, but considering, Eddie completely got over him being in the accident. And, he did say this, as much as I prefer to use my legs than walk again, that you hitting me, he didn't say it like this, but this is how he meant it when he was telling her how he felt about it. But, hitting me with your car and causing me to be paralyzed for the rest of my life was a blessing in disguise, because that part he didn't say like this, but this is exactly how it ended. It showed me how much stronger I can be while in a wheelchair, and that's really powerful for him to say. And then Nicole's been doing everything to try to make it right, to make it to make it up to him. And Eddie said, "Well, not like this, but this is how we meant." He's like, I mean, I appreciate it, but at the same time, you don't have to, because everything's going great between us now, considering we put that in the rearview mirror. And speaking of putting it in the rearview mirror, now we move on to the last. There was not too many plots in it. There was all these plot lines were like smooth, calm, quiet plot lines, and no cliffhanger this time. So therefore, we go on to the Mendez Bloom side of things. So when, Maggie and Gary were at that appointment, for Javi, that took fucking forever. And I thought Maggie was going to lose her shit at the receptionist. And I know Gary was in the chair with Javi, like, oh shit. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but that's how he meant it. He said it was like, I think your mom's about to go angry, Mom. This is about to get ugly. That's how he said it, actually. And then when, Maggie went to her on that, 38-second air, and, it was 38 because, Mendez said that, and that was Elliot Sadler, the 38 M&M's Ford Taurus for Robert Yates racing after he flip-flopped with the king of kicking people shit in. And, Haviland went to Ganassi, and all this other stuff, and the 28 got changed to 38, and M&M's came aboard from MB2, which was the 36, but then became the 01 for the U.S. Army along with Nadu, but. When Maggie finally got back just in the nick of time, like right after they were finally called, and the nurse was amazing. The Spanish nurse was amazing. And I left the actor, a comment on her Instagram how I love Ricky Martin and all the other stuff. Live in La Vida Loca. And then, of course, Maggie and Claire went on that run, and, Maggie got a little upset knowing, where ice cream and dairy was involved, and kind of gave her a poor taste of flashback how she can never breastfeed, because remember in that one episode in season 2, was it the same one I was just talking about with the parking garage, Brian Vickers bickering between the guys, or how we had the bitchy nurse played by Maria something, I can't remember what her name was. Oh my God, but I can't, it was so long ago. I don't even know if I still follow her or not. I followed her for that reason. I remember my mom, a couple of years ago, was watching a movie with her in it, the same actress who played the bitchy nurse. And remember how Maggie said when the bitchy nurse was calling out for Delilah for not being able to breastfeed, and how Maggie said she had it because of her mastectomy. I don't know. I'm a man, so I don't know shit about the female body, kind of like how women should know shit about the male body, even no matter if they work in the medical field or not. But Maggie says she had a vendectomy or whatever the fuck it's called, saying she won't be able to breastfeed, which is probably what got. There was so many season 2 flashbacks to not in this one, like holy shit. And then of course she came home to Gary reading that Spanish book to Javi, and this is now we're gonna get to this part to close out this portion of the video where we go over the Jimmy Spencer installment. So Gary's aunt, that he was like, Gary as a kid was kind of like me as a kid. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't understand as a kid that I understand now. So we'll get to Gary's version of it later, because I can relate in a way. Another thing of the show I can relate to. When I was growing up a kid, I was on Lenore, and when my grandparents lived on Sanders during that time period, there was a lot of stuff I didn't understand, a lot of context of stuff I didn't understand, but I'll take one of them. What I didn't understand was, all the people from my mom and dad's side of the family all knew each other, and that there was no running away from each other. It was like, my dad's dad knew my mom's dad, grandmother, mama, because they were in a Puerto Rican club or something. I can't remember how they. I knew they knew each other somehow, and when it came to Puerto Rican people, but I can't remember exactly how it happened. But then, before my mom and dad married, my mom and my dad's brother, my Theo Robert, were best friends. But when I wasn't even born yet. So when I grew up a kid, I didn't understand that, and I would always get upset when my mom's parents would come to events on my dad's side of the family, because my dad's side of the family cusses a lot, and I used to try to keep a filter on. I mean, if my mom's parents aren't around, I'd let it fly. I'd let all of it fly. But knowing if I let it fly with my mom's parents around, they'd be sensitive, because my grandparents on my mom's side are sensitive to bad. Well, I wouldn't say they're much. They used to be more sensitive to every swear word that I would say, considering I was a kid. But now that I'm an adult, it doesn't really matter anymore. I mean, they're not as sensitive as before. They're still sensitive, but not as, because they don't care if I say they don't even care if I say the S bomb or a D word or the B or bitch or whatever. But whenever I say the F bomb, that's when they get sensitive. It's like, I'm an adult now. I mean, this is not the late 90s, mid 2000s anymore, where I was not old enough to say it. Now that I'm an adult, it doesn't matter anymore. I can say what I want. Don't like it, too fucking bad. So yeah, that's part of why I did not appreciate my mom's parents coming to events that my dad's side of the family had. One, I didn't understand that, and two, because I didn't understand that, I always come up with these bullshit things that at the time kid version of me didn't think was bullshit, but now I know I was bullshit. I said that they didn't belong, and they didn't belong in that group, even if they were big fans of it. But now that I'm older, it's like it doesn't matter anymore. It's the same thing when my my mom and dad's family all reunited for stuff, you know. That when others I'm older, they reunite for like our big accomplishments, my sister's big accomplishments, and my big accomplishments, like my graduation party, my sister's wedding, and my sister's baby shower. All the other stuff or my niece's baptism, they all united for that. See, I'm a lot better with that stuff, and don't seem to mind now. But whenever I would say my grad party, but back even I was still a teen, so I was still kind of uptight then. I didn't like the fact that that both my mom's side and my dad's side both came to my grad party. I just wanted one side, but again, I didn't understand that kind of stuff. So I didn't, whenever I was my dad's side of the family, I had something, I didn't want anything to do with my mom's side of the family. Whenever my mom's side of the family had some stuff going on, I didn't want anything to do with my dad's side of the family, because I did understand, like, someone's parents, an individual's parents, both of an individual side of the, oh my God, I can't even get this out straight. Something I've learned in life is when you're an individual, I mean, both sides of your parents' families are always going to know each other, especially even before you're born. So that's how it always is, it seems. I mean, I don't know if that's the case with individuals in general, but both of my parents' sides of the family knew each other before I was born, even before my sister was born. Like, before, all these modern people in these family came along, like in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, even 2010s, 2020s, there was no running away from each other, none. So that's where, Gary, comes in, his family comes in with them on his side. Like, Gary's mom, abandoned him, as we all know, when he was younger, so that way he can leave because her and Javier got into a fight during a birthday party for Gary, and then when they filed for divorce, and I can't remember Gary's mom's name. Alice abandoned Gary until forced Javier Sr. to raise Gary on his own. And Gary was hurt by that because he wanted to still see his mom while still seeing his dad. You see, my mom and dad didn't do that when they got divorced. Even though they got divorced, they did not burn bridges, and they stayed friends to both care for myself and my sister. Even though my mom didn't want to be friends with him on Facebook no more, which is understandable, she still did not want to burn a bridge with my dad either. Some parents unfortunately don't do that. They just burn bridges, don't want anything to do with each other. Again, my parents won't do that because they're great people and human beings. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about Alice and Javier. Javier wanted to stay in Gary's life, but unfortunately, Alice did not. And and here, Gary's aunt, I think it was it Gary's aunt? I think, Gary's aunt, because it was Javier's brother, wanted to stay in Gary's life, but she left because she did leave and abandon him, but but the way she explained it was not by choice. It was she left him, abandoned him unwillingly. What she did and what Alice did was not the same thing. Alice did it out of spite. Now, Gary's Tia, Gary's aunt, just left unwillingly because Javier Sr. wanted to support, didn't have a problem with Gary legally changing his name from Javier Mendez Jr. to Gary Mendez. And then I guess, Gary's aunt didn't like it, so they got into a big fight about it. And then, Javier Sr. said, you either stand by and support him or get the fuck out. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but that's how he meant it. And so as much as Gary's aunt didn't want to do it, she left, because she didn't understand at the time. But now that she's back in his life, Gary was hurt to the point where out of his place she didn't invite him to Javier's funeral at the beginning of the season. And I don't blame him, and I get why he was hurt, but I mean, that was all a long time ago. I mean, if you let the lady talk, and maybe you guys can put that in the behind you guys, and maybe you can give yourselves a good relationship again. And so they talked it out at the table, and then she let hit her meet her her nephew or grandson. I don't know the relationships between when you're someone's and I don't, if you're out, like, say, for example, I have one living grandfather left. So he has two brothers, Eddie and Jose. So I guess that means they're uncles. I guess that means Eve, just when you and your dad has a brother, that's not your only uncle. When your grandfather has a brother, that means it's your uncle too. I'll have to ask my mom and my grandfather on that one sometime tomorrow. But so therefore, Gary let his aunt meet her nephew. I think I can't fucking remember. But anyway, yeah, because Alice is Javi's grandmother that I hope he gets to meet. I hope he gets to meet her. I don't think he will, but I doubt he will, but I hope he does. But then, and sadly, he never got to meet his grandfather, which I can relate, because I never got to meet my dad's dad, because he died less than a year before my birth. But at least, he got to meet his Tia. And so Gary let her meet him, and, everything was all sunshines and rainbows after that. And, that's when she gave him the book. So it was a good episode. It was nothing sad. It was nothing dramatic. None of that stuff. Now, this part of the video has gone on for so long. This might be the longest Little Things reaction video in history. I apologize for bumping into that box and making it seem a little awkward, a little disoriented with the canvas angle of the video. But anyway, we just gotta go catch up on the Dale Jr. installment, because we're running out of time. So I'll see you all for that in a little bit.
Handle her creepy baby voice.
Just give her a chance, okay?
Bye, Daddy. I'll miss you.
Oh, what are you doing here?
Dad is fine.
You have no idea what we've been dealing with. What's going on here?
Dr. Jessica is going to stay in the weekday slot, and we're going to move your show to Saturday mornings.
You're taking my show away because I went on maternity leave?
A Million Little Things, the farewell season, new next Wednesday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Man, the Dale Jr. installment. My God, what can I say? And that sneak preview of the Bill Elliott installment this coming week. We may or may not catch that one live, depending on if Mother Nature either wants to play nice and give us a sunny 75-degree, or wants to make it rain with 75, or would kill the 75-degree weather. Man, the Bill Elliott installment this coming week is going to be interesting. Charlie is having a medical scare, and Delilah, it's the long-awaited return of Delilah. We missed you, Stephanie Shostak, although she's not going to be tagged in this because of the fact that we're waiting until she reappears for the first time in forever to tag her. But let's go over the Dale Jr. installment, and I got a surprise Ricky Martin song that I'll play to close out this video since it's way too late for a performance, but holy shit. I mean, first off, Greta's parents. Catherine got to, reunite with them, and luckily for her, they moved on from the grudge they held from them not liking her for what she did to Greta all those years, 20 years ago, according to Greta, when you thought it was all sunshines and rainbows with them. Turns out when they were getting ready for the family photo with the ugly Christmas sweater, is even in the middle of June. I mean, I know it's April now, and I think it was March when that episode aired, when they aired the episode aired, and there was probably a different time of year when they were actually filming these season 5 episodes as actors, in real time. Who fucking knows when it was? Whether it was sometime last year, earlier this year. Who fucking knows when they aired these episodes in advance before they aired them? But it was a different time of year regardless in that universe. And when they were getting ready for the photo, when Greta was getting ready to snap the photo or set the timer or do like I do or do whatever, that dating app came up and Greta wasn't quite sure. And I was hoping it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Turns out it was that, that Greta's parents are splitting up and divorcing. And I love how they were going to tell them right away, but they were waiting until after the whole engagement thing so that way they wouldn't ruin it. It's just like what happened with my mom and dad when that's a long story that goes back to August 2016 when my mom figured out what was going on. I was the last one to know because when I found out in March, here's the thing though. When my mom found out about what was going on, I'm not going to try to get fairly detailed into this story because I can relate to this in a way. my mom's told my dad not to tell me and my sister until after Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas passed. Like, wait till the holidays passed so we wouldn't ruin it for not only us and your relatives and, my dad's relatives, my mom's relatives, even my grandparents, my mom's parents, ruin it for them too. So, they wanted to make us, the way we went through Halloween, Christmas, and Thanksgiving and Christmas 2016, for me, from my perspective, made it look like everything was all right. Because look at that 2016 Christmas. Remember how was it 2016 Christmas? Yeah, when the Warriors and Cavs had that 2015 finals and 2016 finals rematch with the Christmas jerseys, and Richard Jefferson did to in Cleveland what he couldn't even do for us in San Antonio, throw it down like Johnny Benson over the top of Kevin Durant. I mean. I remember the Cavs won that banger of a game. I remember watching that game, just getting ready for ours against Chicago, which was our first Christmas game without Tim Duncan, and probably the last time we played on Christmas because we were still a winning team even without Duncan there. So therefore, I remember getting up that day and recording that video, what I got for Christmas, on this same couch, except none of this stuff was here. Oh my God, man, we go back to a time where we were living La Vida Labyrinth with Kelly Berglund, and I remember going out for Halloween as Austin Dillon that year, except I had to wear my t-shirt without the jacket with this same cowboy hat. I remember, yeah, considering I didn't have, I'll show you what I have now that I didn't have back then, so that way I had to make it work somehow. I didn't have this, so. I remember, starting my Mark and Friends with living La Vida Labyrinth and Mark and Friends, 2016, 2017, La Vida Labyrinth fanfic with me and Kelly Berglund as, a bionic boyfriend, girlfriend, Mark and Bree, Davenport, Olivares. And then Thanksgiving, we went to my dad's, family with Tita Nancy's house with my mom's parents, and that was when I finally understood it better, that my mom and dad's families were always connected to each other even before I was born. So that's when I finally understood it. I started to finally understand it. I remember I was telling all the Oliveras about you thought the times at ViaQuest I have right now were crazy. Well, it was even crazier back in those days, except not as crazy as it was starting the very next season, because we didn't have the loose cannons yet. I remember all those crazy stories about La Vida Labyrinth and, Nathan Narowitz going into, I'm not going to say his name because he works with me now, going into someone's locker, and the guy said, "You go in there, I'm going to smack your hand," and then all this stuff that Gary Lyons gave him, Mr. Labonte gave him permission, which obviously he did not, and all this shit that was going to how how I used to, speaking of Labonte, how I used to hit myself in the chest and say, "I'm going to smack you like Bobby Labonte." That was a trend for me back then. But back to my point, yeah, so my parents decided to wait till after the holidays to tell me and my sister what was going on between them, and then my sister was the one who found out first. And I remember, my mom telling me that after she found out, she went to her room, crying hysterically, and knowing that her parents were, which are my parents too, were splitting up, and my dad was not going to be in our lives every day. So yeah, but I know that feeling with Greta. I know how Greta feels in that situation. But then they were going to tell me. Actually, no, I don't know when my sister found out, but either way, after Christmas ended, Christmas and New Year's ended, when the fraud had a game winner that went in halfway in and back out against Atlanta. I did record my reaction. Imagine, I was actually recording the fourth quarter. They ended that fourth quarter on camera. I was gonna put it on this channel, and then when the shot went halfway down, I was ready to burst out in excessive celebratory excitement. But then it came back out. I wish I would have kept that in there. That would have been epic to see me get all frustratingly hyper over a near game winner, when the fraud, aka the backstabber nephew number 2, was in San Antonio. But after all that stuff was over, my I don't know who I don't know who wanted to tell us first. I don't know when my sister found out about it, but then they wanted, actually, no, let's put it this way. They both wanted to tell us, right after Christmas, but then they realized that, my birthday comes before my sister because I'm February and she's March. So then they changed their mind again to say, you know what, Mark's birthday is coming. He's going to be Kenny Wallace 23. Let's not ruin his birthday either. So they waited for my birthday to pass to tell me, which it was a good one. The Spurs played on my birthday. And I got acknowledged on Fox Southwest for my birthday over a trivia question that was easy. When I had my old Twitter account, I was more active on there, and they kicked Orlando shit in like Ricky Rudd on their floor. And Denny Hamlin happened to be at that game because NASCAR was in town for the Daytona 500. And then the week after my birthday, it was like 70, lower to mid 70s. A week after my birthday. Right, days before the Daytona. I think it was the day before the Daytona. I think it was it the day before the Gatorade 125s? I don't fucking remember, but it was probably though that was on a Thursday, and then I watched the truck race. I think I slept through the Busch race. I remember watching the Craftsman Truck Series race and how crazy that was, and then the TV, when we had DirecTV, we still had DirecTV, and then it started blizzarding, and then the cable went out. I missed the finish where Crafton went up and over and did a majestic flip. He just did an acrobatic flip like Brendan Gaughan did at Daytona in 2019. And then I slept through half the Daytona 500, but I missed that whole Spurs game because the Spurs were playing the Lakers the day of the Daytona 500, and of course, San Antonio won because we were still good even without Tim there for the first year. And, I came watching on that Daytona 500 to what was a wreck fest where Austin had a shot to win, but Ty was taken out early, and it turned to a fuel mileage race where Austin was one of those people who ran out of gas, and Kurt Busch took the win. So after all that stuff was over, then my mom and dad decided to tell me. Well, I handled it. I don't know when. I know my sister found out first, but I don't know when. But then when I found out, it was after then. I kind of handled it well. I was pretty damn upset and hurt, but I just didn't show it at the time. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say, so I can relate. And then he eventually moved out sometime in early March. Early March, he moved out, started looking for his own place, which he was in an apartment at first, and then he moved into the Appleseed house, and now he's got a bigger house. So therefore, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get further into the story, but yeah. So I know how Greta feels in that. So therefore, their divorce was finalized in December of that year, right before I got the flu, which almost took my life. So. Yeah, so Greta, I can totally relate. I can totally relate to her parents, but Catherine was trying to give her some positivity, in this, that's not gonna. I know, your parents of what going through, and I think did Catherine say something about her parents doing that too, but. Whatever she said, but I don't know what she said about her parents, but I don't know what Catherine said about her parents, but she said about when it came to Greta's parents that's not going to be her and Greta says, how do you know that? Yeah, but of course because Greta, and Catherine during their previous love lives before they refound each other went through the same thing and got it wrong. But Catherine knows and promises they're going to get it right together, knowing that none of that stuff is going to happen in the family again going down the line. So therefore, I love where Catherine's positivity in that. And then we move to the Howard stuff. The return of Omar, a.k.a. the legend, Jay Farrow. I mean, I've missed him. I didn't think he would ever come back. This kind of reminds me of the fourth and final season of the original Livin' La Vida Lab Rats. They had a combination of old school characters from seasons 1 through 3 and a whole slate of brand new characters for season 4 exclusively. This is what A Million Little Things is doing. It's taking the La Vida Lab Rats route. It's introducing a lot of new characters. It's introducing a lot of brand new characters while bringing back some of the old characters from past seasons that we remember from all of the years we watched this show. So it brought back Omar from season one, Rome's brother. It brought back some of those students, Maddox and Brianna from last season. I think it was probably my favorite season of Million Little Things before, out of all. I mean, this farewell season comes in a close second because of how much fun it has been. It's almost like, the fact that it's the farewell season doesn't exist. But, I love how they even brought back Nicole, which is amazing. And they brought back Charlie as a now grown toddler. They're bringing back Delilah next weekend. But yeah, we'll get to the Eddie shit momentarily, as well as the Maggie and Gary shit. We'll get to that shit a little later. But yeah, Rome and Omar were fighting. Like, this is what siblings do. Even me and my sister do this. Even though I kind of want to think, I always want to believe that she's toxic. I mean, to be fair, she really was in Michigan, treated me like a piece of shit, excluding me from stuff with her that she did with her friends when I wanted to be part of it and everything. See, it's one thing for siblings to fight. It's one thing for siblings to fight with each other. It's another thing for one sibling to be toxic to the other. So, I mean, I didn't care that her and I fought, when it was during a personal time, but that was one thing. It was another when she was toxic to me, period. I mean, even if there was no reason to be, if I was just trying to be nice to her, like myself, I would say, hey, and then she would just be toxic as fuck, be a nasty bitch for no reason. See, that's part of why I used to hate her more back in those days. And and even on Sandhurst, she was like that too. Not as much, but she was still well up there. But, she was at her worst. So I can see why, Rome and Omar fight, and why Rome thinks, Omar hasn't been a good brother. But at least Omar had a good reason. And then they worked out a plan, Walter and even Regina wished for them to get along. And so they wanted to keep Walter's house in the family. Well, they got Walter into a home where he could still be independent, but also have a lot of, make sure, he was safe at the same time. And therefore, kind of like how, we kept Sandhurst in the family after when, we were leaving the Lenore house. We were looking for a house in Ohio. We couldn't find anything. I wanted to be in Brook Park still, but I didn't want to be on Sandhurst. Well, it turns out I didn't want to be on Sandhurst, and look at that. Even though there was a bunch of drama there with some toxic neighbors, more toxic than my sister ever was on Lenore, even those same toxic neighbors, so we ended up having some good times with them. We had some good times with some legit great people, like the Rinaldis, Anna and Steve, who are carry over from when my grandparents lived there back when we lived on Lenore. We were watching Brooklyn, their granddaughter grow, We got to, see her mom, Lindsay, continue to raise her. We got to be friends with that group home going towards Sheldon. We got to sing Ricky Martin for them on Easter in 2014. We got to go in their backyard and shoot baskets and go in the pool with them. Trying to think, I remember going down to it towards the last house before you turn on to Sheldon, which is the first house after you turn on off Sheldon Road. You have to go through the Harrow Park, or there's Cambridge, Sandhurst, and Harrow. So after you go through the Harrow part, first house on Sandhurst is that dark purplish burgundy-ish one. That's where my friends Eddie Johnson and his brothers I don't know if it's I think the stepbrothers, Curtis and Aiden LaForce, live there. I remember running nobody down on my end goes to the rec center that I normally hung out with was there, because I did lose a friend from vocational school my last year at Polaris in a car accident, because she was driving to college, had her dorm set and everything. She broke down on the way, and then when she called she successfully called the maintenance to come get her. When she waited, a dumbass semi, wasn't paying attention, ran her car right over, and it killed her instantly. And so when I was singing Ricky Martin, having a Ricky Martin dance party in the basement, when I read it on Facebook, and that was like the last time I cried over someone I went to school with, whether it be Buria Polaris, passing away. That was the last time I cried over someone I went to school with dying. I don't know when the last time I cried over someone in general dying, but still. And then I actually ran outside to go gather my thoughts, and I ran to Eddie, Curtis, and Aiden, and I don't know if Ira was there, but man, as much as Aiden and I didn't get along at times, you know, and much as I got along with Ira more, you know, they sure helped me get through that, and I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did. I mean, you know, back to my point, you know, I didn't want to be on Sanders because I wanted to like have me and my mom and dad and sister have build our own legacy in our own house, but it turned out to be a good thing, not just those good people, whether they were all straight up good people or were like, you know, toxic people who also had some good in them. You know, we kept Sandhurst in the family. We added more to the legacy before we decided, you know, to give it up and, you know, for a bigger house, which is here in Sandy Ridge, and, you know, get away from those toxic neighbors, you know, because even when they had some good in them, they're somewhat toxic. But I mean, I know, I get it. People do change for the better, but we don't know for sure if they legitimately changed for the better just because they got older, or they only legitimately changed for the better because we're gone, and the fact that they can't hurt, and they know they can't hurt me anymore like they used to. So we don't know that for sure. We don't, because if we were still there, we would know for sure if they changed for the better or not. We would know for sure if, even if we were still there, we don't know for sure if they would change because they got older, or they don't change. Even if they get older, they don't change because they still want to hurt. Sadly, we'll never know. Sadly, we'll never fucking know. Only God knows. But yeah, so therefore Omar and Rome wanted to keep Walter's house in the family, where Omar was gonna rent it out for a little bit, probably live there for a little while, probably hopefully start his own family or something. Who fucking knows? But that kind of reminds me in a way how we decided to keep Sanders in the family. After we left Lenore, and my grandparents, you know, they have enough money. They have the money to live on their own and, you know, own a house on their own, but they choose not to because they want to help me and my mom. And even when my dad was here, they helped him too. And it's because they love us too. So not that they can still run it, even if they wanted to buy a house on their own with their own money. Obviously, they can't now. It could be by themselves like they used to because they're not all that young anymore where they could run around fast without canes and walkers. I mean, not Reed Davenport, Olivetta's fast, but to the point where they've gotten slower. I mean, my grandfather can still move a little fast. And, you know, whenever something goes wrong, and like, so if I, like, for example, I went to do the dishes and I forced the cup in there and I broke a bunch of cups, my grandmother can't get up that fast because she's, but my grandfather's a lot stronger, so he got up and ran. Not Mrs. Olivetta's fast or Tim Duncan pre-2000 knee injury fast, but he's still kind of fast. My other grandparents were the exact opposite. My abuelo got sick first, and he died in 92, while his wife, who was 10 years younger, it was just her birthday, technically yesterday, April Fool's Day, would have been 85. She was stronger, and that's why she lived longer. But luckily, even though my grandfather on my mom's side is stronger than my grandmother and my his wife, they're still here today, thankfully, and God bless them. And I hope they're still alive when the day I get married. Same with my mom and dad. So, oh my God, yeah. So, therefore, that was pretty cool that Omar and Rome worked it out. Now let's get to the whole Eddie and Nicole and Andrea Kraft thing. And, you know, so Nicole, Andrea, was kind of like, busted Nicole and Eddie being together, busted them like Adam Petty, and then she figured out, she was the one who added Eddie to the class and breaking the rules. But thing is, Nicole went to Andrea and explained why she did it, because they've been friends. They go far back to before Andrea came into their lives, and Andrea gave Eddie a second chance, even though she disagreed with some of his things somewhat. She liked it, and she gave him the best she could do was give him a B. And Andrea realized that she was wrong about Eddie, and so therefore I'm glad she saw the potential in him and let her stay in the class, let him stay in the class, which was really, really nice of Andrea. And Nicole was being extra nice, so hopefully going into the Bill Elliott installment this coming week, Charlie is going to be okay, and that it's nothing serious. So therefore, I'm glad to see Nicole, get a sweet redemption story. Now to the Maggie and Gary story. Tía Inez, came and, was, getting to help Maggie and Gary with, what I think is was it her grandson or her nephew? I don't fucking know the relationship between, somebody's, what's it called? the aunt of the child's father. I don't know what it is to them, so I have to ask my grandmother or my grandparents or my mom this tomorrow. Or if I forget, I'm probably have to until I see my dad next, then I'll have to ask him. But holy shit. I mean, I get Maggie was not risking, wanting to use the pacifier on Javi, just, because of, medical problems that could happen. And this goes to show you, Inez, didn't think anything would happen. And she may be right. I mean, there's something to keep in mind. Even when it comes to risky situations like that, generally speaking, and risky situations in general, even if you actually do it and take that risk and luckily nothing happens, it's good. But even that's the case, you still got to be careful. I learned this little life lesson on YouTube of all places in 2014 when I lived on Sandhurst. Before I started, a year after I launched this channel, and then before I started uploading even on a part-time basis. So, yeah, so therefore, Gary had just ended up getting Inez back into his life, and Maggie almost screwed it up, but then, she was about to boot him out, but boot her out, but then realized, she realized, this, I know I was wrong on you about the pacifier, but there's this medicine out there that I can't remember exactly what she said, how she meant it, but she wanted to use a pacifier anyway, so therefore, I'm not make sure nothing will happen, but just make sure even if nothing happens, Maggie, Gary, and Inez are careful. And so, therefore now for Maggie's little work storyline. So Colton and Jessica. So Colton, just wanted to move Jessica to prime times and Maggie to weekends, and Maggie didn't like that and just, took it all out on Jessica because, of course, she has it out for Jessica most of the time. Every time, Jessica makes a fuck up. That's not her fault. And then, of course, decides to insult her, calling her Colton's, quote-unquote, Colton's puppet. And then when, Jessica Bruno did the right thing after hearing Maggie's lecture, I guess, Maggie liked it because, she did she followed Maggie's orders, but I guess Colton didn't like it and wanted Maggie back, and so wanted to move, Jessica to the weekends and Maggie back to prime time. But then Maggie said, I'm totally on board with that, but here's what I'm going to do, guys. What I want you to do. Check this shit out like Kevin LePage. Or Kevin fucking LePage. She didn't say it like that, but that's how she meant it. But Allison Miller's pretty potty mouthed in real life, so I could hear her saying that shit in real life. So when she took Colton into this one conference room, she decided she wanted to do, to have her and Jessica do the show together. And Colton, of course, was totally against it because, of course, some of these stuck-up men have a vendetta against women when it comes to stuff like this or in general. And then, of course, Maggie and Jessica together protested, and then Colton said, okay, fine, I'll think about it. And then he just walked out, and then Maggie said, let us know after you're done thinking. And then they shared a hug, and now I guess, Jessica Bruno went from being the greatest primetime TV villain to getting redemption, and now teaming up with the protagonist and, be joining forces. Storybook ending when it comes to one particular character. So that does it for this reaction video for the Spencer through Junior installment. So tomorrow, technically later today, we got the Kenny Wallace through Jeff Gordon installments of Bunged. And I was mistaken in last few reaction videos. There was, after the Jimmy Spencer installment of Not Dead Yet, when Nell's dad came for a visit, they actually took the last 2 weeks off, so we didn't miss anything. The next episode does not air till April 5th. So when we come back to Not Dead Yet, we're going to be going through the Dale Jr. installment of that. So my mistake on my part, so we didn't really miss anything. So this actually is good news. So you're probably wondering why I was laughing in the beginning of this portion of the video. Well, tomorrow, technically later today, we're going to do Kenny through Jeff installment of Bunked like originally planned. We're going to do that, and then we're going to throw out the reaction video, even though all these reaction videos go on YouTube first. It's going to be a little bit of a step behind on Instagram because of stupid-ass tagging glitches trying to figure us back out, but I'm not going to let that happen like I did 2 or 3 years ago when this shit started happening. And then, depending on if Mother Nature wants to play nice on Monday or Tuesday. So, if she plays nice on Monday and or Tuesday, or even both, then we might have to put off that girl Lele for a little bit. We might have to do that. We might have to do that with no choice. So, therefore, oh yeah, we have to do that episode of Mark's presentation soon. The next crummy day we get, I will do that. We'll be talking about Aaron and Aaron. And then we'll probably be talking about, Kensington Tallman's new show that's not going to debut in the States until next year on HBO Max. So yeah, we're thinking about getting rid of the cable. That way my mom doesn't have to pay $300 all the time. That way we can be cheaper and it can be easier for us to keep this house. That way I don't get upset to the point where we don't get a potential chance of leaving this wonderful, happiest place in Northeast Ohio that we treat as a racetrack for bikes. So we do not want that. So I have to let her know to add HBO Max to the list of my channels to make sure she has for me, so we can watch Kensington and Ava do their thing on Home Sweet Rome. We'll also watch them do their thing on Nickelodeon simultaneously, but that won't be till next year, so we don't have to worry about that. So Mark's presentations, Jeremy Mayfield installment, I think we'll be talking about Aaron and Aaron, and the Tony Stewart installment we'll be talking about Home Sweet Rome for next year, and then the Tim Duncan, Elliot Sadler installment we'll be talking about season 7 of Bunged. So here's the following schedule. Tomorrow, the Kenny Wallace to Jeff Gordon, well, technically later today, but you know what I mean. The Kenny Wallace to Jeff Gordon installments of Bunged. Now, Monday and Tuesday, one or both is going to, if Mother Nature decides not to cooperate, at least one of the days, it doesn't matter which one, then the day it doesn't cooperate, then we'll do that girl Lele, the Mayfield through Smoke installment. But if it decides it wants to play nice on both days, then I'm going to put off that girl Lele Mayfield do Tony installment. And then we're going to bring you guys, one day we'll bring you guys the Sandy Ridge 2023 premiere mixed with the season 2 premiere, Spring is in the Air. And then Tuesday, we'll just do some kind of random, or probably our first general vlog of the year. So the plan for if the Mother Nature decides to play nice on Monday and Tuesday, Sandy Ridge 2023 premiere makes a season 2 premiere, Spring is in the Air on Monday, and then Tuesday we'll be doing just some kind of a random video. I'm not sure, which is going to be our first legit general vlog. That's going to come after the, premiere vlog on Monday. So I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'm going to figure it out one way or another. Maybe we'll film something with the Gift Boys over on the back straightaway in Rick and Ann's yard on their basketball hoop. So time to get the fuck out of here. Finally, have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Life will give you a lot of lows, but when you hit a high, enjoy it. It ain't for the weak. Goddamn, pace yourself, bring your ass, be you. You have to try harder to do less. You can't deport a dream. Sometimes the worst things in life lead to the best things. Always bet on the side of love. You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Sometimes you just got to be present. You never fail until you stop trying, and never pays to worry too much about things. It's never too late to turn the day around. Another day on time, another day to shine. Sometimes you just got to flock yourself, trust your instinct, stand up for yourself, not back down to anyone. All for one, one for all. She love, act different. You gotta bounce just when you think things will never be okay again. Here comes a miracle to prove you way wrong. A connection can happen when you least expect it. Honesty is the best policy. Sometimes you just gotta dive in, follow your dreams, show up for the rest of your life. When you're all trained together, every day is a win. There is no tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Good night. And for what at last, spring is in the air. 2023 is going to be creeping up come Monday if the weather decides to play nice. But keep in mind, if the weather decides not to cooperate on Monday, but then the crop days cooperate on Tuesday, so we have to keep monitoring this upcoming early week's weather. Then we'll premiere season 2 of Spring is in the Air on Tuesday, which will be combined with the 2023 Sandy Ridge premiere. But let's not forget, there's going to be one or two more major mild to major snowfalls of the season before our first 80-degree day of the year at the end of this month, and then one last cold front, and then smooth sailing and free game come June for season 3 of Fun in the Sun till rerun back full circle to season 3 of Adventures in Autumn come September. So time to get the fuck out of here. So see you later, everyone. Life isn't just one big thing, it's a million little things. Upside, inside out, living la vida loca. Love each other. Here we go.